Welcome, everybody, to our Team Dare to Dream, Team Inspire joint call. Megan Anderson, I don't know if you can see her up here in our little Brady Bunch box, but she and I, we had been talking about doing some team calls and sharing, and since both of our calls are on the same night, we said, why don't we just do a joint call? And Megan and I got to hang out in Florida at Hillary Kelly's casa on the beach for her leadership retreat last year or earlier this year. Wherever we go, we just go all over the place. It's just one of those things. So it was really, really fun to get to meet Megan. She's on Team On Fire. And who is your personally sponsored coach, Megan? Is it Hillary? No.
Heather Coy.
Coy. She's Heather Moonka.
Moonka. Yeah.
So
Moonka Coy. Heather Coy Moonka.
Yeah. So before we get started, just a reminder, we have the Team Cup, the Team Fall Classic coming up. Last day to register is tomorrow. Is it the 30th, Megan? Yeah. She's like, it seemed like it was tomorrow. So make sure you get on a team. And after we go through our presentation tonight, hopefully that will reinforce to you why you should always do what you're told to do by your leaders, as well as always get engaged. No matter if it's your day one as a coach, we are not ever going to ask you to do something that is not the time for you to do it, right? So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm sure you've seen it in our team page and in Megan's team page ad nauseum for the last several days. So tonight we are going to talk about difference makers. And we all are difference makers in other people's lives. And that's really, I think instead of calling ourselves coaches, we should just call ourselves difference makers, because that's what we do. We make a difference, even just by posting a motivational picture, even by posting our sweaty workout pic. It doesn't matter if somebody buys something from us. We're making a difference in people's lives. So what we want to share with you tonight is we have three coaches. So it's going to be very interesting. We have Paulette Disberg. Raise your hand, wave your hand. And then and Paulette is an Emerald coach. She's been a coach for 3 full months, but she is like a breath away from Diamond. So let's all blow and push her that direction. Everybody blow on Paulette so she can get there, but she will get there like any day. And we'll let Paulette share her story, but she calls me. I will have to tell a story. We did a My Story branding video, and she told her story, and she said, yeah, and then, Deborah, talked to me about joining her challenge group, and then she started talking to me about coaching, and I was just thinking, who is this lady? What does she think that I'm going to get out there and do this thing? And I'm like, thanks, I'm that lady now. So apparently I am somewhat annoying and perhaps maybe a little bit, I don't know. But it's okay because we got her on board. I just have a really good intuition, and I knew Paulette was going to absolutely be amazing. So we have Paulette, and then we have Megan, who I will let you, she will share her story as well. But she will tell you, are you a Diamond or Star Diamond, Megan? Diamond. She's a Diamond coach, and she has been working on building her team, and she has a totally different story of how she came into this business versus Paulette or myself, and she will also share her difference maker tips. So what we're going to do is I've asked each coach to share their top 5 things that has made a difference in them being successful with their business. So you're going to get these 5 tips from a brand new, spanking new coach, a coach that's, right there, working her business every day. And then myself, who, as a 10-star Diamond, I have a little bit of a different perspective, but I think I've been in this business longer than any of the rest of you. So I'm going to be the old lady. I'm always the old lady on the call. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put this in speaker view, and everybody else should be on mute. So we're going to go ahead and unmute Paulette and let her introduce herself. I'm trying to unmute you, but it's not working. Let's see. Can you? Okay.
I got it.
I'm going to mute myself so it doesn't keep popping up to me.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me, Deb, to the call and to be a part of it. I am pretty much a brand new coach. I have been a coach for just about 3 months, a little over 3 months now. And yes, I did post a video to our team page where I basically called Deb a crazy lady for thinking that I was going to get into this business for anything other than the discount. So when Deb posted a post, back in July, I think it was about a clean eating group, and I was like, yep, I'm in. And that's how it all started. That's where it all began. And ever since then, I've just sort of, been myself. So I guess I'll just jump right into the 5 things that have made a difference for me and what I've been doing as a coach. And the very first one, which you guys have probably heard 1,001 times, is to be a product of the product. And as I said, when I started, I was completely a discount coach. I was like, there is no way that I'm selling this stuff. So, I kept thinking, gosh, Deb, you just need to, let me be a discount coach. I'm glad she didn't, but it ended up being that I just started posting pictures of what I was doing in myself after my workouts, and people started getting in touch with me. And I wasn't even posting that I was a Beachbody coach. And I know they tell you, post that you're a Beachbody coach, announce yourself, open yourself for business. And I never did that. So it was just me posting my workouts and showing myself looking terrible after my workout and being exhausted. And people started to approach me and say, what are you doing? And can I do this with you? What is it that I can do to come along with you? So when they tell you to be a product of the product, it really is the truth. It just brings the business to you in a sense. The second thing that I've realized as a coach, and that's been successful for me, or been, something that led me to success, was being comfortable being uncomfortable. So when I posted my video about Deb being a crazy lady and my story, I posted it and I said, I've never sweat so much in my life just doing nothing, because I was so nervous and so uncomfortable doing it. But I received such a great response to my video that it really propels you forward. And so when I was completely uncomfortable doing it, the amazing thing was that once I did it, all of these people sort of were like, that's so great, and we're so supportive. So being uncomfortable leads you to something that makes a huge difference in your life, and allows you to then go the next step and make a huge difference in someone else's life. The third thing for me is basically being honest with myself and with everyone else. So I've learned that I need to be honest with where I am in my fitness journey. I need to be honest about where I am as a coach. I need to be honest that I'm not perfect, so that other people know that that's not what we're looking for from our customers, from our group participants. There's no reason for us to feel like we're a failure if we're not at the same level as someone else. We want people to feel comfortable in our groups, and being honest to me made that something that, they could do and I could do. If I just made it look like I was always, in great shape and, rah, 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 I was, doing all these workouts and everyone was loving me or whatever, then it was fake to me. And so being honest with myself and the people in my groups and my customers has made a huge difference to me, and to them, I hope. The fourth thing for me was to follow up with everyone that I talk to. So I don't even know how many emails I send a day. I couldn't tell you. It's probably in the hundreds. I started a crockpot group with my success partner, and it starts on Monday, and we have like 80 participants, which we're super excited about. Can't believe there's that many people, but I literally sent probably 150 messages in the last 2 days, just following up with people that liked the page or the group, and then who wanted in. They didn't even have to say they wanted in. If they liked my post, I was writing to them and saying, hey, let's get you in the group. This is going to be great. So follow-up has been a huge successful thing for me, where I think that the people that understand she's not just somebody who's looking for, money. She's someone who's going to be there for me along my journey as well. So that's been a huge thing for me as well. And then this is going to sound funny, and it's funny that Deb just said this when she opened the call, but doing what I'm told has been a huge thing for me. So even when I think, again, that sounds so crazy, I don't want to do that, I still do it, because these people are successful that are telling me to do this. So who am I to say that's just silly? So doing what I'm told has led to a lot of things where, again, I'm uncomfortable doing it, but I'm getting more comfortable being uncomfortable. And because I know that it's worked for someone else, I'm far more apt to do it because it makes sense. They've been there, they've done this, they've been in the trenches like I am, and like all the other new coaches, and it really makes a huge difference. So that's been a big thing for me. And even though I fight it, a lot, I still do it. And it really does work. I'm going to give you a sixth thing, and I'm probably not supposed to, but I'll take up a little more time. But one of the things that I was told to do as well was to get a success partner. And I've had a couple, and a couple of them, I got along with, before that, it just wasn't the super right fit. But the one I have now, she and I think very much alike. And I will say that it's been a huge help for me to find that person and to have that person to bounce the ideas off of. She and I are constantly, talking back and forth, whether it's on text or Facebook messaging, whatever. We're in contact probably all day. I mean, I'll just say that, off and on all day. And it makes a huge difference for me to know that she's there, that she's supporting me, that she'll tell me if I'm being silly or if I'm thinking the wrong way, or, and one of the funny things is that when we're having trouble or we're struggling with something, we always say, well, just visualize it. And we giggle and we laugh about it because that's what they tell us to do. So we're trying to do it, even though it's not something that we're used to doing or good at, necessarily. But it always brings us back to a point where we're positively thinking about our business and our journey. And I will say that that's made a huge difference for me as a coach, is to have her right there by my side. So if you can find a success partner, do it. I mean, just do it, because it's a huge help, really.
That's great, Paulette. Yeah, I mean, finding a success partner, we'll start there. I know at Leadership, they talked about, Julie Voris and Danielle Natoni talked about that, and how, finding the right one. And they even talked about it like dating. I mean, you don't always go out on a second date with somebody, you definitely don't marry everyone you go out with. And, that doesn't mean you can't be friends and all that, but finding the right success partner. And they really urged all of us there, because we're like, oh, we want the kind of relationship they have. And right now we're like, oh, we want the kind of relationship Paulette and Sarah have, but it's just like when you look at somebody's marriage, you think, oh, that's so great, but you got to find the right person for you. And sometimes it takes time, and sometimes it takes, going, I've had multiple partners as well. So success partners, that would be. And so that's a really great tip. I also wanted to just kind of reiterate about, you talked about, you just started posting, and how your action, because people always want to know what the secret sauce is. If you had to say one thing that is your secret sauce, what would it be? One thing.
It would be posting. I mean, honestly, the funny thing is like I said, I wasn't planning on working this business. It just came to me. I didn't do anything other than post that I was working out, and, sometimes posting that I drank Shakeology in the morning. And all of a sudden, people sort of came out of the woodwork, and I think that people are uncomfortable reaching out, or they don't want to do something or make that change until they know somebody else is there that they can do it with. I'm not really sure, but that's all I did. And it changed everything. It changed the whole game for me. So
So an action item for everybody is, if you're not following Paulette, go ahead. I don't know if you can follow on your page without friend requesting you. You might want to check that, but follow her and check out her social media and see what she's doing, because it kind of comes naturally to her. And I know some of you are like hating her right now, thinking, oh my gosh, really? But you know, it doesn't come natural to everybody. So don't kick yourself in the butt. You've got other things that are, you know, that come naturally to you. The other thing I wanted to point out is it just reminded me that, you know, being a product of the product, again, Julie, Boris, and Danielle Natoni, they just really stuck out with me. I think Danielle might have done a call about it recently too, about your actions speak so much louder than your words. Paulette didn't have to go on Facebook and say, I'm a coach. She just used her actions to show what she was doing with her own life and how, and she, like she said, not picture perfect, but every day. But I remember Danielle, I think it was Danielle, and even Julie Boris, they both said this, you know, that like Danielle said she was a fit girl before she got into Beachbody. Julie was an instructor, a fitness instructor, before she became a coach. And neither one of them really thought that they needed to follow a Beachbody program, because they were already fit. They had their routine. You know, Julie, was teaching bajillions of classes a day, and Danielle's like, you know, I'm a fit girl. I already know what to do. I go to the gym. I have my, you know, protein shake that I drink. She wasn't even drinking Shakeology. And she said that she dabbled around like that for, I don't know how long, maybe a year, until she finally got it knocked upside the head that, you know, she was not attracting customers because she wasn't being a product of the product. And, you know, she came to a point where she said, I really want this business to work for me. And if I have to drink the Shakeology, and I have to follow a workout program, and you know, she did Insanity, and she said that changed my life. And you know what Danielle is now as an Insanity a subject matter expert. I mean, she said that changed my life and it changed my business. So that's something to think about for you as well. I mean, some of you may already have your routine. You may be a fit girl, a fit guy. You may have things that but if you want to be a Beachbody coach that is a fitness, if you want to be a fitness professional and you want Beachbody to be the cornerstone of your offer and your service package, you've got to get on board with that stuff. You just have to. There's no credibility. How would Paulette have built her business? She would have nothing. Nothing that, you know, yeah, I'm jogging every day and here's my GNC shake over here. Well, okay, that's great. So I just wanted to use time to point that out. Thank you, Paulette. You did amazing. I hope everybody wrote those 6 things down. Now let's move over to Megan. You can unmute yourself, Megan.
Hi, so nice to see everybody. Hear from you, Deb. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, except for online.
You haven't.
So my story starts a little bit differently. I've actually been a Beachbody customer. I've been trying to count backwards to figure it out. My son turned 10 this week, so it's before him. And I was actually using products from them, their body series. And their slogan was like, look good naked and stuff. So that was probably like 12 or more years ago, right? So I've always worked out at home. I just preferred that. That was just my thing. So I've always been a Beachbody customer for years and stuff. I mean, I've gone to the gym and different things too, but it's always just kind of been a preference of mine to do my thing from home. And then when kids came along, it was just easier because they would nap and I'd be able to get in while they napped and stuff like that. And so when, I did every product program there was. There's a Turbo Fire and Combat and all these ones. And I remember vividly watching Chalene Johnson with Turbo Fire and thinking, how cool would it be? There's one workout where she does one of the Turbo Fire workouts when you're stretching at the end, I think, and she's like, I have the freedom to just get up at 9 a.m. and work out. And it was like living the life of luxury. I'm like, oh, I would love to be an instructor and be that person. But you're thinking, well, that's not realistic, because you can't make any money being a group fitness instructor, And so I was like stuck on the other side of the TV is what I always kept thinking. So when I found my coach was in the coach message boards, because it was kind of before Facebook. I really wasn't on Facebook during that time. She was commenting and messaged me about joining one of her groups. And I was like, what's a challenge group? And when she explained it to me, I mean, I was just so excited. You mean there's other people out there that are like me online somewhere? And I thought that was just the greatest thing ever. So I jumped right in. I was psyched. And then when I found out you could actually make a living doing that, I mean, I was all over it. So my husband and I have owned our own company for a number of years. We finally severed the ties this year. I left the company 2 years ago. I signed over I was the president because being a woman-owned business is beneficial in our state. So I signed over my presidency a couple of years ago just to stay home with the kids. That was what I really wanted to do, was stay home with the kids. And I jumped into coaching full time, even though we were, not going to be making any money right away. I knew this was my passion. I wanted to jump in with both feet. Like as soon as I started training and things like that, I just jumped right in because I knew that this was where I was meant to be. So that's just kind of how I ended up getting here. So I've been a coach for, it'll be 3 years in March is how long I have been a Beachbody coach. So my 5 things, the first couple, the last 3 actually tie into each other, but I would say number 1 for me is discipline. Pretty much from my workouts to my business, I've created and set business hours that are non-negotiable times for me. So, getting my workouts in and doing my power hours are something that are set in my calendar and that are non-negotiable. Even before I joined up as a coach, I was very disciplined with my workouts. Consistency for me was always a main component for me to see results. My family has always been aware of the importance of my workouts and my coaching business. And so I've set hours that I've actually made public to them. They're on the calendar upstairs, so they all know that this is my time. Even the little ones know when I'm down here, not to come and bother me. And my husband is very respectful of this and very supportive and always has been. And he knows when I'm here, he's taking care of them. He makes their school lunches, gets them off to school, or we swap back and forth doing that. And I'm also actually doing, I'm currently doing a bikini competition. And so I'm getting ready to take the stage November 7th. So it's been a very challenging 12 weeks, but I'm loving it. And I'm actually really thriving on the discipline that I've set up through my daily posting and my journey. I also have that extra accountability that pushes me further to be my best. I think when you first become a coach, it's so easy to become overwhelmed. And the best thing that I did for myself and my business was to set business hours and stick to them. Not to mention with my sanity, that really helped me. I really struggled with being a stay-at-home mom because that was something I never did before. So when I first came home, I didn't really know how to just be with them. Because I was owning my own business before, I was always working. So within these hours, I've had to set power hours, and I've created habits within those hours so that even now, before I sit down in front of my computer, I know which tasks I'm going to be tackling. So this obviously not only makes me productive and successful, but it keeps me from burnout and finding that balance with my family, which I really struggled with, as I mentioned. Number 2 for me would be determination. I've always been really passionate about health and fitness. I really don't need motivation to get up and work out. I just really love it so much. It's just, if I don't get it in, I feel lost. It's just part of my life, my day. So honestly, the thought of giving up, whether in my personal health and fitness or my business, has never really crossed my mind. Instead, I'm always just thinking about ways of how I can be different or better or improve or change the situation. So I never, throw my hands up and like fall off the wagon and eat cheeseburgers for a week, or even though I like to, I don't. If, for example, if I post something that gets no responses or likes, well, then the next time I change the picture or the time of day, but I don't ever think, well, that didn't work, so I'm not doing that again. So I feel like having determination and a strong why as my incentive is what drives me forward. I'm determined to be a success and create a business and a life of freedom for me and my family. And so I'm really not going to stop until I get there. It might take me a little bit longer than the average person, but I will never give up or stop trying. I feel like, my last 3 points are kind of all tied in together when I was thinking about them. So I'm very successful with my Fitness Pal. I've actually grown 95% of my team through my Fitness Pal. Now, if you're on the fast track to adding new contacts every single day, this may not be the fastest route for you. However, if you're interested in building key relationships, this method for me has been the most successful. So my Fitness Pal is unique in that it's set up like an email type system versus an instant messenger type system. So I've created a process in which you reach out to new contacts each day within your niche, and you find in those communities and forums on there. Once you've made that contact and they become your friend, then you can start engaging with them via the internal messaging system. So I've set standard questions that I use and that I use to form them, which ultimately ends up in the invite and then filtering over to Facebook. The bigger component, though, is that I treat my Fitness Pal similar to how I treat my Facebook. And that means that basically you have to work your following in a similar manner. I post consistently 3 to 5 times a day. I post my workouts. I post what I'm eating. I post my struggles. I post my successes. My followers see me as a real person, and I create loyalty with them. But this didn't happen overnight. I remember when I first started as a coach and I started on my Fitness Pal, I posted something about Shakeology, and the people following me were all over me and upset that I was trying to sell them on this app because it's specifically created to support and help people, right? So I got a lot of haters in the beginning. So I definitely backed off of doing any sort of thing like that. So it's also against their policy to solicit. So, in going with that method, that's not a good idea either. So since then, I really do rarely post about the business or product except what I'm using. So that's what most people will ask me. They actually come to me and ask me what I'm doing. Almost all my interactions are through the direct message system within. I will say, though, since I've been on there for a couple of years, I've definitely created loyalty. They can see that how many days I've logged. So I'm upwards of like 475 to 480 days now that I've logged. So they see that. They know that I'm there in the long haul. I have great success when I do post about my free groups, though. And that's how I get a lot of people filtered over to Facebook with my free clean eating groups and things like that. So having patience is my number 4, because this method is a little bit slower than your typical instant messaging. I do, increase my reaches because of that reason, but you also have to have some patience. I think that we have to remember, much like our own health and fitness, it's not going to, change overnight. Our new business may not grow overnight either. But by taking my time with each of these relationships I developed through my Fitness Pal, they're more likely to trust me and follow me and come to me with questions down the road, which is really starting to happen more this year than ever before. I have people come to me all the time and ask me my opinion about different things. They see me as an expert. They see me as more of a loyal person than just I'm out there, trying to talk to them about Shakeology or whatever. And my last thing is mastering one thing instead of trying to master everything. So when you first get started as a new coach, you go through a lot of trainings. I had tons of trainings on social media platforms and, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, you named it. I wanted for a long time to get myself to focus on other platforms or add what I was doing already. And what ended up happening to me was that I was wasting a lot of my time and my power hours, my vital focused power hours, trying to create and add a new prospecting system to my plate. It wasn't actually till earlier this year that I really started to realize that instead of trying to master everything, why wouldn't I just become an expert on one thing? So since that time, I've really focused my energy mostly on my Fitness Pal, creating a seamless system for me to share with my coaches and how to prospect and filter over to Facebook. While I do also use my like page, I feel that it's not really adding to my system, but more just a part of my overall system. I have videos and tips that I have been posting in my Fitness Pal in turn that brings them over to my like page. And so we engage that way as well. So this also rings true with my challenge groups. I really try to focus on creating groups that help people based on my own experience with Beachbody programs. I'm very focused on my nutrition, and I'm really into reading labels, clean nutrition, and I incorporate that as much as I can into my groups. So I think that the perfect starting point for anyone who is looking to make a change with that is usually with the container system. So my focus always starts with the containers, and then typically try and talk with the people about utilizing strength training with Fix Extreme or Body Beast because of how it's changed my life and my body so much. It's not to say that I wouldn't start to talk to someone about other programs or the original 21-day fix, but I really do try and just have one focus and try, instead of trying to master all of the programs and offer all sorts of different challenge groups. I have a focus, and I want to work towards being an expert at just one thing. I think having my experience too, has I've been a customer for so long, I have definitely tried every single workout that there is. So I do have that to be able to offer people. But as far as, running successful challenge groups, I feel like focusing on just one strategy is important for me. And those are my 5 ends.
I'm unmuting. That is really fresh information, I know, for my team. I know of another top 10 coach that was found on my Fitness Pal, and she's from Kansas City. I'm like, oh my God, how did I miss this woman? So that is a really fresh perspective on how to find people. And I think your point about being patient, building a relationship. So often, I tell my coaches, it's not post it and they will come. Not the Field of Dreams, right? You gotta.
It's Paulette.
Yeah, unless you're Paulette. Well, yeah. So Paulette has the Field of Dreams approach. Megan has the builder. You're out there. Your consistency though. But for most people, it doesn't work that way. For me, neither. You have to. Your consistency is so impressive, and your discipline. You asked if we could. I need to come to your house and learn how to be disciplined, because that is not my strong point at all. So not my strong point. So building systems. I love the way you mentioned that you've built a system, and that's what I teach my coaches as well. Is like with inviting, you can send out, like Paulette, you can send out 50 invites in less than 30 minutes if you have a system. If you sit down to recreate the wheel every time you begin your power hour, you won't ever get anywhere. So, and I also want to mention, you're not the average person. You're definitely above average. If you are a diamond coach in the Beachbody Network, you are not average because you are in the minority, right? So, good for you. If you had to say, just like I asked Paulette, what is your one absolute difference maker? What would it be?
Probably the discipline, the being focused. I really feel like it's helped me so much. They say set business hours, and I dragged my feet on that for a really long time. And it's probably the beginning or the summertime, before the summertime, where I finally said, okay, you have to announce your hours to everybody in your family and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm actually working when I sit down. And then I think it was Melanie Mitro that said, you need to know what you're doing before you open your computer. Like, you have to have that focus. So now, I keep my power of 3 on the side, even though it's more like power of 20. But I'm doing my check marks. That's what helps me. So I sit down and I know when I'm up at 5, I'm doing this, and I only get till 6:30. Then I'm with kids, and then I'm on my second block. I'm doing and then so when I close the computer, then I'm out until after dinner or whatever, and then I'm back. So it's like, it's good because it's like closing the business, and you can be with kids, and then they don't think I'm a jerk. And
yeah, that's amazing. I wanted to point out what you said. Power of 3 is power of 20. So the power of 3 is a document. It's like the business. There's lots of trackers, business activity tracker, and our team has used the power of 3 as well. And it's a place to start. But when you're trying to be a diamond coach, when you are a diamond coach, when you're building your team, it's not the power of 3. It's the power of 20. It's the power of 30. So, that's kind of the secret sauce to building a bigger business is talking to more people. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Because I had to
charge your business, right?
I had to have that pointed out to me. I remember when I was a diamond and I was sitting here, I'm like, how am I going to make what I'm doing? I mean, I'm doing everything I was told to do. How am I going to turn this into a 6-figure business? Because I'm already doing what they told me to do. And Carl Eichler, I think, said it. He's like, you got to do more. It's not just, doing the bare minimum. If we say invite 3 people a day, it's inviting 30 people a day. And I don't know, it seems it's not rocket science, but to me, it was like, oh, that's it. I have to do more. So good job. Well, thank you. I'm sure people were furiously taking notes about MyFitnessPal. Everybody's like, oh, I'm going to go dive into MyFitnessPal. Remember, her other tip is also master one thing. Don't go down bunny trails. If you're already on MyFitnessPal and you've never really thought about utilizing it that way, that may be something to do. But bunny trails are distracting. All right, so now it's my turn. I love the way Paulette and Megan both talked about mindset. Megan talked about how determined she is, that she is determined to be successful at this and is not going to quit, is not going to give up, no matter what. This is what she's decided to do. Decide, commit, succeed. That's Beachbody's little slogan. So she's done that. And, Paulette also talked about, her mindset and how, she has to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and the vulnerability. And that's where I'm going to start. So when I was thinking about my 5 difference makers, I wanted to go back to my very beginning of a coach to figure out what were the things that made a difference. Because a lot of people sign up as coaches. And I know if you're on Team Dare to Dream or you're on Team Inspire, you have all the same tools that everybody has. And I had all the same tools that everybody on Team On Fire had, right? And so did Megan. We had all these same tools. So what's the difference maker for us that we're still here after all these years, and so many other coaches that started when we did aren't a coach anymore, much less a diamond coach or a 10-star diamond coach, right? So number 1 difference maker for me was personal development. And you're just like, I can't believe it. Quit shoving that down my throat. I can tell you when I started out as a coach, and I didn't mention my story, in case you're not familiar, just to make a long story short, I came into Beachbody as a customer. I was in a job. I was a vice president. I had, recently gotten sober. I had recently got back into fitness. I found P90X with my husband, got fit and strong, got a promotion in my job to my dream title, right? After like almost 20 years, I finally had my dream job at this company that I never intended to be at for 20 years. And then things kind of started really going downhill as far as, I think, maybe sobriety kind of like clears things for you. Big surprise there. And my job was not all that. And we had management changes, and it was really the one thing in my life that was making me very, very unhappy and very edgy, squirrely. My depression, I was re-diagnosed with depression. I had been diagnosed as a young adult. I was re-diagnosed again, put on meds, to kind of regulate things. And, when I kept thinking about, gosh, I have so, things are looking so much up, but the job is just like dragging me down. So when I came into Beachbody as a coach, my mindset was, I had found my faith. I'd rediscovered that. So that had given me a lot of hope. but I didn't have any direction in my life. I had no direction. I was like, okay, I know that, God's my friend, and, life is good. It's good to be alive, but it's like, I don't know what to do. I have this sucky job. I don't want to do that. So personal development, when I became a coach, within 1 week of becoming a discount coach, I decided I wanted to become a real coach. And I wanted to become a real coach because it made me happy. The positivity of Beachbody made me happy. And I didn't really imagine in that first week that I would ever leave my job to do this full time, but I knew I wanted more of that happy feeling in my life. As I started getting into, training, then I realized that personal development was part of it. And so, I had a very glasses half empty mindset. I was definitely a negative Nelly. I was skeptic. I was, it was not a good mindset for me. The books that I read when I started, here's my difference makers. So as Paulette said, I always have done what I was told to do. I won't even make that be one of my points because I say that all the time. So that's not anything new. And I was told that I had to do personal development. And we didn't have the 3 vital behaviors back then. It wasn't called that. It was just, this is what you have to do. And so I didn't really want to, but like Paulette said, and, even though I didn't want to, I still did it. The first book I read, here's my book list, The Slight Edge, which is a very similar book to The Compound Effect. Compound Effect came first, but The Slight Edge is Jeff Olson, Olson, and it's a shorter book. I actually love it more than The Compound Effect. I think it's because it was the first book I read, but it's the same concept. What gives you the slight edge is those things you do every day. That book just started changing my life. My mind was like blown away. The second, I don't know if this is the order, but the second book on my difference maker list is Go for No, Yes is the Destination. And that gave me that sense of determination, like Megan said, that gave, like Paulette, sending out 150 invites. Well, she sure as heck didn't get 150 yeses, right? So Go for No, Yes is the Destination changed my mindset about no's and failure, because I was definitely afraid of failure. I never wanted to fail, all the way back to when I was a young kid. And in fact, I can think of many moments in my life when I didn't try something because I was afraid I would fail. And now when I look back on it, I regret. I know we don't like to have regrets, but I'm like, man, you missed out. What if you had succeeded? So that book helped change my mindset about failure. Eat That Frog. Still haven't mastered that one, Megan. But time management, doing the things that you don't like to do, doing them first, getting them out of the way. Eat That Frog was another one of the first books that I read. The next big epiphany moment for me was The Attractor Factor. It just huge, the heavens opened up, and I'm seriously not kidding when I say that book got me to elite in my first year as a coach, my first full year as a coach. That it wasn't a book. I would listen to it on audio. That was the difference maker. Totally changed my mind. No more negative Nelly. No more Debbie Downer. Positivity, negativity, not allowed. Not allowed in here. And when it comes, I now have the tools called personal development, 4.5 years later, long book list of things to push it out and say, you are not welcome in my mind because you will keep me from where I want to go. And I like the way Paulette said they visualize, because that's exactly what the Attractor Factor says. Visualize what you want. Don't think of anything different. Even when you make your affirmations that I have so handily sitting right here by my desk, you put them in the positive. One of the things that I can hear my mind saying, because I have a lot of problems with fatigue, is that I'm lazy. So that's a real downer, right? So when I wrote my positivity cards, I wrote out, I am full of energy. I didn't write, I am not lazy, because now I'm planting the lazy seed in my head, right? So you focus on what you want, you think what you want. And then the next book was the GoPro. GoPro by Eric Worre. That taught me that network marketing is cool, that it's nothing to be embarrassed about. In fact, why wouldn't anybody want to do this? So that was my difference makers, personal development. Every other thing that I will tell you stems from that, and I still do that today. Number 2 of my difference makers was getting engaged. And when I first became a coach, I wanted to soak everything up. And there wasn't nearly as many YouTubes and all that, but there was still a lot. But I didn't really dive into all the YouTube and Googling of other coaches. I just got super engaged in what was put in front of me. That includes the National Wake Up Call. I never missed a National Wake Up Call. I can tell you that every time I listened to a National Wake Up Call and heard the story of the featured coach, my mindset grew. It was personal development. I started envisioning that all these different lives, so very different, they're all different, they all come from different places, but they're all achieving this thing that I want to achieve. So, it really helped me kind of get rid of that idea that, well, there must be something special about them that, well, that person's totally different from that person. So that's not it. It's something else. National Wake Up Calls, team calls. I never missed a team call. I've listened to a recording if I needed to. Local events. I mean, that was they didn't have vital behaviors back then, but that was one of the whatever we had back then. It was attend local events. Super Saturday. We had a game plan training back. I can still remember my first one I went to. It was the first time I realized that there was many coaches, not just me, not just these people on Facebook, but there were actually other coaches. It gave more reality to what I was doing. It gave me the realization that, I wasn't just working all by myself on this thing. I was part of a community. Summit. I mean, my first coach summit. Oh my gosh. Mind blowing. I can remember, and somebody made the comment, and if you're on this call, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not signed up for Summit because I thought that was what you did after you became successful. I'm like, where's the brick wall? I want to bang my head against the brick wall. How Summit is where you go to be successful. Super Saturday is where you go to be successful. When I sat in Summit that first year, I visualized myself, because I had already done the Attractor Factor, and I visualized myself up there on that stage, and I said, I'm going to be up there next year. I'm going to walk across that stage, and the following year I walked across it 4 times. I think it's because I visualized it. I really do. I mean, I told you the Attractor Factor, and Summit was in June. I hit Elite that by December of that year. That's what got me to Elite. That's what got me to walk across that stage next year. Team training, I always dialed into that. We didn't have nearly as much team training as we do now. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you think that lack of training is the thing that's holding you back, that's just crazy. Number one, I don't know, Megan, you probably can relate. So many top coaches have said they didn't have any upline support. They didn't have anybody handing them coach basics and handing them, live biz op events and all that stuff. They didn't have that. And back whenever Megan and I started, that was pretty minimal as well. I mean, I can remember my coach had, there was, some kind of, it just wasn't like it is today. But I always dialed in. I remember 90 Day to Diamond, led by Julie Voris. I did it 3 times, and I still didn't hit Diamond. But I kept doing it. I'm like, I'm going to keep doing it because I'm going to get better and better and better. And when you plug in to stuff like that, and I'm going to say this, I'm still on number 2. Get engaged. When you start to pull back from your team, when you start to pull back from your community because you think you're not being successful enough, because you see other people being more successful than you, because you start to doubt yourself, that's when you need to dive into your community of team. That's when you need to say, oh, when's the next training? Because I'm diving back into that, because I'm telling you the worst place to be is alone in your head. That's why you've got to have personal development in there, and you've got to have your team. Got to have your coaches, your success partners. And it's the same way with our challengers. Is when they start pulling back, when you see them start pulling back, and then when you finally get one of them to respond back to your many messages, they say, well, I fell off. I went on vacation. I can't get back. They're pulling back because they're lacking in their confidence now. They had some down days, down weeks, and now they're pulling back. And that's the worst thing that can happen. Number 3 is of the difference makers is accountability, tracking, and owning it. See, I put a lot in one. Now, I think back to my difference maker, and I remember my sponsor, Kelly Knifeforth, had us. She gave us a little tracker. Didn't have the business activity tracker back then. Didn't have the power of 3, but Kelly made this little, on a Word document, just a little checklist. She gave us a tracker and said, here's what you're going to do every day. And then we're going to get on a call once a week, and you're going to report your numbers in. And you're going to report your personal development. I can tell you, I was like, coming from corporate America, I'm like, oh my gosh. I got on that call every week, and literally all we did was report our numbers. And I just thought, this is so ridiculous. What? I'm telling you, ladies, it's a difference maker. Having to report and be accountable was a difference maker. Because when I stopped doing that for a period, after she, I was, at a certain point in my business, I'm trucking along. I kind of hit a lull. And it was because I wasn't tracking anymore. And I wasn't reporting. By this time I'd hit diamond. I was elite. I wasn't reporting into Kelly, just like, you don't need to report into me. I'm not your boss. I was in a lull until I got it hooked up with another mentor, and he made me to use the business activity tracker. I had to start tracking again. I had to start reporting in again. And guess what? Whoosh, business started going up. That's called discipline. Megan has it. She was born with it. Oozes from her pores. A lot of us don't have it. So tracking and accountability is your discipline. And so, again, sometimes we just have groups training, they're not even training groups. They're more accountability groups. Like we just ended one in a Push to Diamond group where it was really just about accountability. Turn in your BAT every week and then give you a little bit of training, but turn in your BAT. And just the very act of doing it and turning it in and knowing that somebody's checking it off can help you keep that accountability. But that's really all about owning it. And that's really kind of the big one there is you have to own it. If you are expecting your coach or somebody to hold your hand and walk, we're here to support, but you have to realize you're a CEO of your business. And that's mindset. It all goes back to number 1, mindset. You got to own it. You got to track it. You got to own it. You got to be accountable. If there's a team training, sign up for it. Don't wait to be asked. If there's a fall classic, go out and find 2 more people. Don't just post, I need a team. Own it. Be a CEO. Number 4, non-negotiable goals. You've heard me say that word all the time, but Success Club is the big non-negotiable goal. If you're not making Success Club, you're not going to be successful. It's just not going to happen because Success Club is an indicator of growing your business. And if your business isn't growing, it's declining. And so the old adage, coasting only happens downhill, right? You don't coast. You're not just coasting. So I've made Success Club. I wrote it down, Success Club 10, 47 months in a row. And before that, I made Success Club 5, and I had 1 month I didn't make it. It was like month maybe 4 as a coach. And I just oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't make it. I don't let that happen anymore. I'm like, Megan, I'm not going to not make it. When you're a CEO of your business, you have responsibilities. And the buck stops at you. You don't have anybody else you can point to and say, well, no, it stops at you. And that's just one thing you have to do. The other thing about owning it is, I'll get back to that. My number 5, and this is kind of where I want to leave you guys off. My difference maker is hunger. And that's mindset again, but you got to be hungry for this. If you're not hungry, if you're content, if you're okay with being okay, then you're not going to build a business because this isn't easy. It's simple. It can be very simple. We only have 3 vital behaviors, and they work if you do them and you track them and you hold yourself accountable to them and you pour good stuff into your head and you do your workouts and drink your Shakeology. It's pretty simple. But if you're not hungry, then when you get home from work and you're tired and your family's watching Dancing with the Stars, you're going to sit and watch Dancing with the Stars. And, you're going to get up, you set your alarm, I'm going to get up early and do this, but then you're tired and you sleep in and you don't get it done. Or, I just don't feel like it today, I'm tired. If you're not hungry, you're not going to, I don't think, this is just my difference maker. Because again, I've looked at lots of other coaches that started when I did. And I've worked with so many coaches that had a big why. When they told me, when they signed up, they said, oh, this is why I want to do this. This is why it's important to me. And, I really, I'm working 2 jobs and, we're still not making ends meet. And gosh, we want to have a family. And, I need to get this taken care of before I have the baby. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we're together now because we're going to get on this. And then it got a little bit hard and they were a little bit tired and, didn't have really enough time. And ultimately what that means is that that person has decided that what they have is okay. That's really okay. They're really not as hungry for this other way of life as they thought they were. That's what that means. And so here's, the why that makes you cry. So we say, oh, you got to have the why that makes you cry. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not crying. I don't know. And Megan's like, I don't ever cry. So that, I don't know. So here's what you can do. If you're having trouble writing down the why that makes you cry, make a list of the things in your life that you can envision that you can only have or achieve as a Beachbody coach. Make a list of the things that you are wanting or desiring out of your life that you can only have or achieve if you are a coach, if you're a successful coach. So I wrote down some things for me. No more corporate America. If I'm a successful coach, I don't have to go back to corporate America. I don't have to have that boss. I'm telling you right now, when I think about corporate America, it's really bad. I throw up in my mouth a little bit. And I feel so bad about that because the majority of people I know work in corporate America. And when they talk, oh, I got this promotion, I got this new job, I'm just like, good for you. Seriously. And so it's really, no more. Beachbody coach, yes. That, no. Starting over in a new career. When I was stuck in my job after 20 years, I thought there was nowhere else I could go. Where else can you start over at the age of 42 and not have to go back to school, not have to spend a lot of money on additional training, and not have to invest a lot of money in something? That for me, I'm giving you my list. These are the things that I can do as a Beachbody coach that only that can bring for me. Controlling my own income. When I think about the kind of income that I had at corporate America, it was good money, but 3% raise every year, based upon, and if you got a 2 on your review instead of a 3, then you might just get a 2% raise. And if the company wasn't doing so well, then your bonus match, it was so out of your control. When I look at what I'm able to do with my Beachbody income and the way I'm able to make it grow based upon what I do, not based upon what somebody else says, not even based upon, this business is recession proof. I've been doing this for 4.5 years, and my business has done nothing but grow, and Beachbody as a company has done nothing but grow. What other kind of job? You may be a part of layoffs and downsizing and, wage freezes. Totally. This job allows me to work on my own terms. And what that means to me is I can make a full-time income, and I can be home with my family. My kids are now, I got a senior in high school and a freshman in college. And for the last 4 years, their whole entire high school career, I've been an at-home mom. I miss that as for all their life. I mean, being a Beachbody coach allows me to do that. And then travel, that's another thing. I love to travel. So that's another cool thing. I mean, travel, most of it's, paid for or partially paid for. That's pretty cool. And it's also brought our whole family closer together. So what other kind of job would I do that actually, instead of kind of tearing the family apart, because like my other job, my marriage is stronger. My kids and I have a stronger connection. All of us have a stronger connection because we spend more time together. We travel together. We work out together. And the personal development really does spread. It really spreads to the whole entire family. So make your list. I can still remember at leadership just a few weeks ago, one of the coaches said that, she was doing her Beachbody business and kind of dabbling around in it. And she said, she's a teacher. So she worked in a different school district than her kids went to. And she said, I remember that on the first day of school in our district, my kids and I went to the bus stop to see off one of our little friends that was going to his first day of school. And, I saw, him get on the bus and, we waved goodbye. And she said, as I walked away, I realized that with the job that I had as a teacher, in that other school district, because it wasn't the same time, she said, I would never get to be the person that waved goodbye to my kids on the school bus because they would be in adventure club. And she says at that moment, I decided that was not okay. So that was the why that made her cry. That would be one of those things on her list that said, if Beachbody is the only thing that I can do that's going to get me that, because I can make money, I can be at home, I can control my time, I can be with my kids. So I hope that's helpful. Think about that, paying off your bills. If you've got student loans and you want to pay them off before the year, 2030, say, well, with Beachbody, with me controlling my own income, if I make, this much more money, I can pay that off in a year. Gosh, how many coaches do we see, Megan? They're like, I paid off my student loan. So make that list. And then the last thing I want you to do is, here's the last thing. You need to ask yourself, this is about belief. And if you answer no, I'll tell you what to do. And if you answer yes, I'll tell you what to do. So there's no right or wrong answer. Do you believe, without a doubt, that if you do what you're told to do, following the 3 vital behaviors, this will bring you at least 3 gems of coaches with whom you will begin to build your team? Do you believe without a doubt that if you do what you're told to do, including those 3 vital behaviors and all of the other things that your sponsor tells you to do, that it will bring you those 3 those 3 gems of coaches that are going to get your business started, and you're going to build that team, and you're going to build your business success? If your answer to that is no, then you need to dive back into your personal development. You need to re-engage with your team. You need to get on a call with your sponsor, and you need to have that conversation about why you don't have that belief yet. And, if you've made that list of Beachbody, this is the only thing that's going to get me these things. If you have that list and you want that answer to be yes, you need to figure out what you need to do in your personal growth plan to get yourself to yes. Go for no, yes is the destination. If your answer to that question is yes, if you truly believe that already, then you're well ahead of the game, and you must know that all the things that we've told you up to now, you will keep doing those things, and you will keep doing them, and the momentum will start to happen, and you will start to have your successes, and your business will grow. And that's the difference maker. So anybody have any questions? I'm going to stop the recording. I thank all of you guys for getting on live. And for those of you that are listening to the recording, I hope you got a lot of good gems out of that.